Sinclair Broadcast Group, connecting people with content everywhere.
Ahead on America This Week, United We Stand.
I actually think Joe Biden is a centrist. The question isn't so much him, it's the people around him.
Tonight, my old friend Megyn Kelly is here.
I'm not going to stand by and watch the American public be defrauded of their chosen leader in a free country.
I'm also talking with former federal prosecutor and General Michael Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell.
Probably the most fractured this country's been since the 1850s.
Plus my interview with Representative Babin. That and so much more right now on America This Week, United We Stand. Welcome to America This Week, United We Stand. It's the week after the 2020 election, and the mainstream media projects Joe Biden as the president-elect. President Trump has not yet conceded, claiming widespread voter fraud and election mishandling. Attorney General Bill Barr now says he'll use prosecutors from his office to investigate those allegations, if necessary, that appearing to support the president's claims. Sinclair National correspondent James Rosen has details.
Richard Pilger, the Justice Department's top election crimes official, quit his post late Monday in protest over an order issued earlier in the day by Attorney General William Barr. In a two-page memorandum, Barr instructed federal prosecutors to investigate potential cases of election fraud, quote, as I have already done in specific instances, if there are clear and apparently credible allegations of irregularities that, if true, could potentially impact the outcome of a federal election in an individual state. Thomas Dupree served as Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Bush-Cheney era.
Although the Attorney General did authorize pre-certification investigations to move forward, he's conditioned and limited his order in such significant ways as to make me question how much of a practical impact this order will actually have.
Attorney General Barr noted in his memo, nothing here should be taken as any indication that the department has concluded that voting irregularities have impacted the outcome of any election. A week after the election, President Trump refuses to concede, alleging without substantiation that state and local Democrats stole his victory and delivered it to President-elect Biden. The lawsuits Mr. Trump and his allies have filed mostly focus on procedural claims, which, even if accepted by the courts, would likely not overturn Mr. Biden's margins in several states.
You have claims about ballots being not being processed correctly, the observers not being close enough to observe the vote count, and so on. So it's all the same claims that have been largely unsuccessful in court. But notable today is the fact that you have this concerted message about delaying the certification deadline in Pennsylvania.
A Justice Department official confirmed that the memo was precipitated by referrals of voter fraud allegations the department received from sources in Nevada and Pennsylvania. For America This Week, James Rosen.
Thank you, James. She hosts the very popular podcast that shares her name, Megyn Kelly. Megyn, welcome back. Always great to have you on. So this whole nonsense, this left, this right, everyone's angry. I thought we were supposed to unite. I thought we were supposed to have harmony. Joe Biden said we're going to have harmony coming back. Seems like we're more bifurcated than before we started this whole mess.
I mean, we are more tribal right now than we've been in 100 years. And it didn't just start with President Trump. I mean, President Obama said one of his greatest regrets of his presidency was bringing so much more rancor to Washington. He knows it wasn't a united nation when he left, between shoving healthcare down our throats when he didn't have majority support of the people, to his pen and his phone and executive actions he admitted he didn't really have the authority to take, weighing in on loaded racial cases that he didn't have all the facts on, and so on. And the nation was fractured, and I think Trump was a symptom of that. Now, he poured a bunch of hot gasoline on it and lit another match, but he's not the cause of it. And whatever, the reasons, we are where we are, and it's not in a mood to unify.
If it is, in fact, and we're calling him presumptive President-elect Biden, if it is President Biden, so many people said, he's a centrist. He's been in the Senate for 47 years. He's worked with Mitch McConnell and the others. Do you think we'll have, a little bit of reaching across the aisle going forward?
Maybe. I actually think Joe Biden is a centrist. I've interviewed him. I interviewed him when he launched his book. I read his whole book. And I've been watching him for years as a senator. I covered the Senate Judiciary Committee, of which he was chairman for a while. I do think he's a centrist. The question isn't so much him, it's the people around him. Kamala Harris, she's not a centrist. She's the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate. And they're talking about Elizabeth Warren possibly as Treasury Secretary, although I don't think she'll get it because they don't want to give up that seat in the Senate. Those are not moderates. So how much does he listen to them? And how determined is he to try to heal the breach? And we don't know the answer to that. I think he is a person who is well-intentioned, though. I will say that. I don't think it's like a Hillary Clinton thing where the goose is cooked. What she really wants is just to line her own pockets and power. Having read some about his history, I think he probably is well-intentioned.
Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Presley, Ayala Presley, and Rashida Tlaib, the squad.
Yeah.
They're vastly different than what Joe Biden is, projected us, promised us he would be, yet they want that power. What do you think will end up? Who do you think who's going to win that power struggle?
I wouldn't put my money on them. I just think, old Nancy Pelosi, like, she may not be the darling of Republicans, but she's stronger than AOC and the squad. And she's got a lot more allies inside the House than they do. And I think, I know from talking to some Democrats, most of them are annoyed by the squad and realize that they're hurting the reputation of a lot of these Democrats. I mean, one Democrat in like sort of the post-mortem after the House, instead of gaining seats for the Dems, lost 10 or 11 seats to the Republicans, said, we've got to stop talking as Democrats about Black Lives Matter. Right. And like, I'm going to get killed. She's from Virginia. I'm going to get killed if we keep this up. And the first response from Rashida Tlaib was, what you're really telling us is that you want the Black people to be quiet. It's like,
and then
messaging. People don't want to defund the police. Get smart about messaging. And
in that same aftermath of that comment, AOC said, maybe if you're going to blame we progressives and me, maybe I'm going to leave politics, as we pointed out. Well, she still is qualified for that job she came from, bartender.
Let me tell you something. Can I say something about her? So I like the fact that she was a bartender and made it into Congress. I think it's cool. It's cool. First of all, we need more regular people going into Congress instead of these elites who think they're amazing and really aren't that smart. And so I was kind of rooting for her. She's not really politically aligned with me, but I don't care. I'm not really that political anyway. So I was rooting for her. Then she said a bunch of dumb stuff about the Constitution that didn't add up. And I thought, all right, she's young. She'll do her homework. But I think Washington is changing her into like a super hard partisan who's been really ungenerous within her own party and never mind the other side. And you can just see what that town does to a person. It's unfortunate.
Isn't it ugly? It's ugly. It's ugly. Megyn, I got about 2 minutes left with you. Cancel culture, is it back? Is it coming back?
Oh, you're not getting rid of that. That's ideological for the left. I mean, it's, again, not regular Democrats, but for the left, capital L, they mean it. They need to, prove that they're not racist by proving you are, that they're not sexist by showing you how you are. And as you know, the worst thing you could possibly be right now is what you are, a white male. And, second thing is a white female. And I did the second worst sin, which is I made 2 more little white males. I think like...
Wait a minute. Sure. I identify as Latino, though. I actually adore the culture. I love everything about it, the music, the lifestyle, the food, everything. I speak Spanish. I think I'm...
Oh, there you go. It's Spanish white.
I think I'm allowed. I think I'm welcomed into that community, at least going forward.
I think if normal people don't stand up and say, we're not playing those nonsense games, we're not going to be defined by our lady parts or our pigmentation at all anymore, stop it, grow up, let's talk about ideas. Then the normal people in this country, left and right, are going to lose this fight to the loudest voice, craziest far left that's dominating the airwaves and shaming media people into going along with it. And so I do think now's the time to stop hiding in your corner, afraid to say anything about nonsense like white fragility and the rest of it.
Yeah, white privilege. Yeah, I'll show you my white privilege growing up in the inner city of Chicago. Wrong side of the tracks. Megyn Kelly is the host of the very popular Megyn Kelly podcast. Megyn, always good to have you on. Best to Doug and the rest of the little white kids you produced.
Thanks for having me.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Coming up on America This Week, United We Stand. You won't want to miss my conversation with Sidney Powell next.
United we stand, we never fall. This perilous fight, it takes one and all. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand, America. United we stand. We stand, America. United we stand.
Joining me now is best-selling author of the book License to Lie, former federal prosecutor and General Michael Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell. Thank you for joining us. Counselor, tell us a little bit about the challenges that the Trump administration is facing, and what are your thoughts on whether or not they will be able to flip any states?
They're facing an election that was absolutely rigged. We are soaking in information through fire hoses of complicated mathematical alterations to the votes. We have identified the system capability that does it. It does, in fact, exist, regardless of what the name of it is. It works through the Dominion company's voting machines that were in 30 states and does indeed alter and flip voting results.
So can you tell me right there, I understand that. So there are these Dominion machines that were voting machines, and as you point out, they're in multiple counties across the country that may have changed. How do you know this? Do you have, listen, I'm not pushing back on you because I know everyone's going crazy right now, but is there proof of that?
Yes, well, the Dominion machines are in 30 states. We're identifying the companies that created the software. They have done this in other countries around the world. It's incredibly disturbing, and we will hopefully have evidence of it before the end of the week that we can produce publicly. And the Justice Department and the FBI and the intelligence agencies, I think, have known about this before. So why nothing's been done about it yet is beyond my comprehension, but it's fixing to go public because I'm not going to stand by and watch the American public be defrauded of their chosen leader in a free country, a country that's supposed to be free, not run by Venezuela or China.
Sidney, very important information news you're breaking here. Is it a software glitch or something more nefarious?
It's a feature of the system that was designed with a back door so that people could watch in real time and calculate with an algorithm how many votes they needed to change to make the result they wanted to create.
How did you find out about this?
People have come to me with information. I think when people realize there's somebody they can trust that will actually do something about it, they speak up. We have a lot of patriots in this country. They are absolutely fed up to the gills with corruption at every level of government. They have no trust in our public institutions now, and we will not let this election be stolen or any cheating to survive.
So let me get this straight, and it's a real important point here. Dominion voting machines were in numerous states, numerous counties. There's some sort of software backdoor, not unlike most phones will have a backdoor, but this will actually calculate and tell the person accessing the backdoor what type of voting percentages and what type of numbers are needed to change the win for a certain party, for a certain candidate.
Exactly. They can watch the voting real time. They run a computer algorithm on it as needed to either flip votes, take votes out, or alter the votes to make a candidate win.
So that's different. Now this is even different. I just really want to be very, very careful here and be very meticulous about this. It's one thing to be able to watch it and decide how much more input you need to change the number, but now you're saying there's an actual way to change the total, the vote tallies within the system?
That's exactly right.
That's a very, very big claim there. I mean, that would be voter fraud defined right there. What's the next step?
It's massive criminal voter fraud writ large across at least 29 states. It could have been happening. Anytime a voting machine was connected to the internet, and we have evidence that many were, it was obviously happening. It's obvious from the algorithm and the statistics that our experts are tracking out for batches of votes and when the curves changed. And it's going to blow the mind of everyone in this country when we get it all together and can explain it with the affidavits and the experts that have come forward.
All right, Sidney, we're going to leave it there, and we're going to look into it, and we're going to watch for further information coming out from your camp, I guess Rudy Giuliani's camp as well, Trump camp. So, Sidney Powell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
America This Week has reached out to Dominion Voting for a response to Powell's allegations and to invite a representative on next week's show. At the time of this recording, we have not received a response. In a statement released on November 7th, Dominion said, quote, "There are no credible reports or evidence of any system software error in Georgia or Michigan." It went on to say claims about software updates being done the night before Election Day are 100% false, and that all U.S. voting systems must provide assurance that they work accurately and reliably as intended under federal U.S. Election Assistance Commission and state certification and testing requirements. Coming up on America This Week, United We Stand, a huge leap in stopping the spread of COVID-19 will explain just how quickly a promising new vaccine could work and when it could be available to the public. But first, the calls have been pouring in by the hundreds of this week, as you might imagine. We're listening and we hear you. 888-601-0032, toll free. People are angry and frustrated. Take a listen to a few.
Hi, Eric. It's Myra from Dayton. I remember when Election Day was Election Day, and now it's been diluted away, and in its place, corruption.
You know, listen to Biden's speech tonight, and while it's great words, you know, I just don't trust the Democrats. You know, twice under Democrat presidencies, my right to be secure in my person, my right to due process, my right to equal protection under the law have been violated.
Hey, Eric, I supported President Trump. The only thing I can think about being good about Biden winning, that the people who voted for him and all his zombies following him around will end up suffering like the rest of us.
Here's that number again, 888-601-0032, toll free. Right now, it's more important than ever for you to be heard. Follow me on Twitter at Eric Bolling, and we will make sure they hear you too.
United we stand, we never fall. This perilous fight, it takes one and all. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand American United we stand. We stand American strong. City by city, state by state, town by town, stand American great. Everyone stands American strong. When strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand American United we stand. We stand American United we stand. United we stand, we never fall. This perilous fight, it takes one and all. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand American United we stand. We stand American United we stand.
This week, Pfizer announced its vaccine may work even better than first thought at preventing COVID-19, a major step in the fight against the virus. Medical reporter Liz Bonus from our sister station, WKRC, explains how it works.
Hey there, hello to you. It is still early, but Pfizer saying the data so far showing its coronavirus vaccine is more effective than they even expected. The hope now is that that trend will continue. The CEO of Pfizer announcing what could be the biggest step yet towards stopping the spread of this virus. The company providing this video and announcing the vaccine may be up to 90% effective against COVID-19. Generally, 50 to 60% considered good odds.
I think that likely, based on impact, that will be the greatest medical advance in the last 100 years.
The Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, as it's known, announced there were just 94 cases of COVID-19 in 43,000 trial participants. No serious safety concerns were observed, and 4 out of 10 participants in the interim review had diverse backgrounds. The vaccine requires 2 doses, and this 90% effectiveness appears to show up to 7 days after the second dose, which is given 28 days after the first one. Unlike traditional vaccines, this one a molecular vaccine. That means it does not use an inactivated virus, but instead a part of the viral sequence to help the body produce what it needs to fight it.
We've not had molecular vaccines in this country before, but they theoretically should be much better and much safer. We just haven't had a reason to do that.
Submission for emergency use authorization to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration now planned for the 3rd week in November, when Pfizer says it expects to have more of its safety data needed to evaluate performance. Pfizer plans to have more than 1 billion doses of its COVID-19 vaccine globally next year. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. We'll throw it back to you.
Thank you, Liz, and WKRC for that story. There have been questions over the timing of Pfizer's vaccine announcement and whether the election or the mainstream media calling the race for Joe Biden played a role. Joining now to discuss is Texas Congressman Brian Babin. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Doctor as well. Sir, talk to us a little bit about that. You know, Operation Warp Speed has pushed a lot of the trials forward. I just found it odd. I think Ted Cruz even tweeted about it. I found it odd. 48 hours after the election, Pfizer says that they've got this vaccine with 90% efficacy. Any shenanigans going on there?
Sure is weird that they would wait until after the election to make that announcement. You know, all I can say is I'm elated to hear the news that they've got 90% effective vaccines. But I think it was so over the top to hear Governor Cuomo up in New York criticize that. And this is coming from a man who put a nursing home, put COVID patients back into nursing homes, and really was responsible for the deaths of many, many senior citizens up in the state of New York. And he says there was no mobilization, that the president had no plan, and the president didn't help. And amazingly, I guess he must not have been paying attention when the USS Comfort, the hospital ship that President Trump sent to him, was out there in the harbor there at New York City. Just over the top. This is more of the same things that have been going on. And ironically, the Democrats are asking us all to unite behind Joe Biden. It's the most fractured this country's been in because of these Democrats have been attacking our president for 4 long years. Probably the most fractured this country's been since the 1850s.
Congressman, how do you go from here with this vaccine? Because I think it would be very, listen, do you call for a House investigation into the timing of all that went down? How does it work?
Well, we have, you know, I think the Operation Warp Speed and all the various companies in the pharmaceutical industry have all pulled together, although I know that Pfizer was not a full participant in Operation Warp Speed. They certainly enjoyed the mechanics of it, the outline of it. And I'm hoping that, during all the consolidation, the simultaneous manufacturing, the testing that went on to shorten up the time span, certainly we will get these vaccines out, whether it's Pfizer or whoever has the vaccines ready. And so it's interesting to hear the Democrats talk about how they're suspicious of the vaccines when, I'm going to take the vaccine. As a medical practitioner, a dental practitioner myself, I will take this vaccine. And I think millions of Americans will. I want to thank this president, personally thank him in his administration for Operation Warp Speed. This is nothing short of a Manhattan Project that was used to develop the A-bomb during World War II, put into place for the development of a vaccine of a deadly virus. And I really appreciate what this president has done.
You know, one has to speculate. What happens if that announcement was 48 hours prior to the election, rather 48 hours after the election? I mean, it's clear with the way the Operation Warp Speed work, we're allowing companies to progress forward with trials at a much faster pace through the FDA, pushing the FDA to open that door for them. Boy, you certainly would think President Trump would get a lot of that credit going into a voting booth. Congressman Babin, I appreciate your time. Again, Dr. Brian Babin as well. Appreciate your
I would like to
thoughts
wish everybody a happy Veterans Day out there, too. God bless.
100%, sir. Thank you. Thank you for anyone's service out there as well. Thank you. Never miss an episode of America This Week, United We Stand. Just set your DVR, go to facebook.com/AmericaBowling, all one word, to find out when we air in your city. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you missed the show or want to rewatch an interview, you can catch them all right there.
United we stand, we never fall. This perilous fight, it takes one and all. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all.